Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with a mix of revenge and Neighbors from Hell stories. If you ever had to deal with any neighbors from hell, then please don't forget to share your own story either in the comments or on r/Ripe Stories on Reddit. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. This story is titled Angry Neighbor and Village Codes. Background: I grew up in a very white-bread village/town of about 15k outside of a small city of 110k in the middle of America. This came with all the petty little problems that come with small-town Midwest life. My twin brother and I would hang out around our best friend's house, and their neighbors loved to stir the pot and cause problems. I have two specific instances of MC with them, especially the wife, Mrs. Nelson. I don't really blame her for being an angry person, to be honest. I probably would be too if I had to raise 4 children while working and trying to go back to school, but I digress. The summer before 7th grade, my best friend's family decided to put up one of those 3 to 4 feet tall inflatable pools. Our town has a code where any yard containing a pool must be completely enclosed in a minimum 5 feet tall fence. My friend's fence was only the regular 3-foot chain link fence, and the gate had recently been broken by the Nelson's kid. So as soon as they put the pool up, Mrs. Nelson called the police because the pool violated code and presented a drowning danger to her children. Mind you, they have a permanent above ground pool that their kids swim in unsupervised all the time. The officer arrives and tells us we either need a taller fence or to get rid of the pool. Here is where the MC comes in. The code states that the fence just needs to be 5 feet tall, not contiguous, made of the same material, or good looking. So, me and my brother went around collecting sticks while my friend and his mom went to the Fleet Farm to buy chicken wire and zip ties. We spent the next hour zip tying the sticks to the fence and the chicken wire to the sticks, as well as zipping the gate closed. Mrs. Nelson is of course disgusted by this affront to her beautiful neighborhood and calls the village again the next day. The same officer is sent out as the day before and lets the angry lady know that the fence is up to code and that she should stop wasting info officers' time with non-issues. This was not the first or last issue with her and her family, even in terms of malicious compliance, but this one is pretty funny and almost perfectly encapsulates my experience growing up in almost rural Middle America. Edit: my village is called a village despite its size because it is incorporated as a village. It's called a village by Wikipedia. It's referred to as the village of X. I call it a small town because it is outside of the top 150 cities and towns by population in my state. And guys, if you ever had any similar petty revenge/malicious compliance encounters with your neighbors, then please feel free to share these experiences either in the comments or on r/Ripe Stories on Reddit. Your stories are very much appreciated and I might read them in a video. And the next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting to put up a garden fence to prevent my neighbor from mowing my lawn? Odd title, I know. I haven't done it yet, but I want to put up a garden fence on my side of the property line in order to prevent my neighbor from mowing my property. The reasons why are the following. Number 1, my neighbor uses a large riding lawn mower to take care of their yard and often mows a portion of my yard in order to avoid items in their backyard, trailer parked right by but not on the property line, trampoline placed 6 inches from the line. Number 2, about a week ago they mowed and damaged one of my sprinkler heads. It did not cause my yard to flood and I was able to fix it without having to replace it, but it was still annoying. I saw my neighbor do it and noticed that they did it and move on. Number 3, they recently, within the last 12 months, moved in and we have waved and said hello to them, but they have ignored us. They are friendly with other people in the neighborhood and seem to ignore us and the other neighbors who share a property line with them. In addition, number 4, they tore out the property boundary stick between our house and theirs. There's a hole where it was, and I want to place anything in that spot before the hole fills in. I want to separate out my assumptions because they are based on my observations, which may be different than what the neighbor is actually doing, 2 sides to each story and whatnot. First, I have a feeling they are trying to slowly encroach onto our property. They have the smallest lot and have it full of stuff, shed trailer, trampoline boat, etc. and we have the largest lot and keep it pretty empty. Secondly, they don't seem to respect our property since they damaged our sprinkler. Lastly, they haven't been very friendly to us and I wanna create a barrier between us and them. I am not a large fence person. In fact, based on city rules, I cannot fence a large portion of my yard. I have planted trees between us but cannot have them on the property line. I am, however, allowed to place a small decorative garden fence. For reference, they are those 2 to 3 feet tall metal fences that can be hammered into the ground. They are 100% decorative. I want to place it on our property to prevent them from mowing our yard. I would plant shrubs and flowers next to it so it doesn't look stupid. I have told family and friends this idea and they seem to be split on if I am being a petty a-hole. So, am I? Added to people that were asking, yes, I had the property surveyed in the past, I am 100% in the right legally and I know exactly where the property lines are. And a user in the comments said, no, you're not the a-hole as long as you have had the property surveyed and you know where the boundary is located. Arbor vitae, nature's fence, you can plant them and have them feed and they will grow in fairly quickly. One of my greatest regrets was not fencing the exposed side of the yard, would have saved me years of grief. And another user in the comments said, not the a-hole, I don't know what it is with Reddit and putting up fences, but fences are so standard where I am from, it is normal to not want people on your property, and if you are in the USA, it is private property, so it is yours to fence if you would like. And another user in the comments said, not the a-hole, they are encroaching on your space as well as damaging your property. A garden well is a perfectly acceptable solution, it is not permanent or unsightly and easy enough for you to put in without causing further problems. And guys, of course, I would now love to hear your opinion whether you think OP is the a-hole in this story or not. Please let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, I would be super happy if you could also like the video if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much in advance, your help is very much appreciated. The next one is titled, I'm your supervisor, you are fired. It is 2015, I separated from the military, looking for any job really to get myself up and off of unemployment. For all those people who keep spouting BS about how things not being true, when you separate from the military, you are allowed to go on unemployment like anyone who lost their job. Anyways, I find a job working for security, cool, simple enough, still have my certificates like CPR, First Aid and AED, Automated External Defibrillator. I go to orientation and get my guard card and all that set up. We are given a lot of company info and customer info, basically the security company is hired to secure buildings for other companies, a common thing. I get my first post and it is real relaxed. People are friendly, staff is friendly, I like it. Everyone is doing their job well, feels good for once, I don't have to stress about my workmates being a-holes. A few weeks go by, we lose someone on my shift. Damn, okay, they were great, I wish them the best. A week later we get a new guy, let's call him Marshmallow. Let me tell you, this I wasn't prepared for, the poor quality this guy would bring to the shift. He was slow, backtalked everything, always had his phone out in front of customers. The most off-putting thing about him was how he breathed, like he was sucking in air harder than a vacuum. Kind of an exaggeration, but you get the point. Well, looks like I'm going to have to try and be political about this, I'm his coworker after all. First time I approach him. OP, hey Marshmallow, could you put your phone away? I don't want the customers to think we don't care. Marshmallow, but I don't care, so what does it matter? Breathing like he's trying to keep a small flame from going out. OP, listen, I know it can get boring here, I get that. I even bring my phone out, just not in front of cameras and the customers. Marshmallow does a raspberry laugh.
Listen, you ain't my supervisor. You're a security guard like me. Now go away before I tell HR that I'm being harassed.
Holy hell, what is wrong with this guy? All I can think is my building will be ruined because of this guy. I should note that our current supervisor didn't give a flying hell, he was about to leave and only had 2 weeks left. Start the exceedingly worst behavior. Soon he started coming into work looking like a slob. He didn't tuck in his shirt, refused to wear the radio, never had his guard card on him, just clear violations for dismissal. Every time I would approach him trying to deal with it at the lowest level, the response was,
"You ain't my supervisor."
It was starting to feel like an Archer episode. We usually get 45 minutes for lunch, but we always let each other have an hour. Perk of being in a slow building, he started taking hour 10, then 20 and 30. You get the point. He eventually got to the point where he was taking 2-hour lunches and his reasoning was he had to pray. 2 weeks pass, the supervisor leaves. I am hoping to get someone new who can fix this crap and I can move on. Turns out they are having issues filling this position and the one in charge of the building is a zone supervisor and he has about 6 buildings to watch over. His reply to my complaints is, "I don't have time for this, handle it on your own." At that point I just say F it, I start to look for new jobs. I come across a supervisor's position for the same company. My head starts to click and I start to think about what I could do if I became a supervisor. Hell yeah, Marshmallow, you are about to get screwed. I apply to the position and I put my absolute best foot forward. I even paid to get help making my resume look as good as possible. All the while I start writing down everything Marshmallow is doing on camera, marking the date, time and location. A few days go by, I get a call for an interview. I smash the interview like it owed me money. I get a call the next day and I am hired to be the supervisor for the building I already work at. I start Monday the next week. The crew hears rumors about a new supervisor but no clear info. The rest of the week I hear Marshmallow talk crazy crap, telling everyone how the new supervisor is going to be a coward. How he is not going to do anything. Monday comes and I come in. Now mind you, supervisors don't wear a uniform, they are allowed to wear regular clothing. Marshmallow,
"All that complaining at me and you don't even bother to come into uniform, man. You're a hypocrite."
I just smile as I walk up to him. Me? Can you put your phone away and tuck in your shirt please? He looks at me without missing a beat and says,
"How many times do I have to tell you? You ain't my supervisor."
OP, are you refusing to put your phone away? He just looks at me for a second and looks back to his phone, saying nothing. OP, okay. I start to walk away heading towards my new office. Marshmallow,
"Quit acting like you're some important person. You ain't any different than me."
A few hours pass and I've been on the phone with HR and the shift supervisor. I give them all the info I had and request to fire him. HR confirms he must be fired and escorted out of the building. When you fire someone at this company, you have to have at least 2 supervisors to escort him. The shift supervisor tells me he will help me personally. He arrives and he approaches Marshmallow. He looks up at us and then back down at his phone. The shift supervisor gives me a "can you believe this guy" look. OP, Marshmallow, I'm going to need your badge and radio. You are being let go due to several violations. Gather your stuff and we will escort you out of the building. Marshmallow,
"Is this a joke? Man, get out of my face before I hit you so hard your ass feels it. You cannot do anything to me. You're not the supervisor."
OP, wrong. I am your supervisor. I have been since this morning and you are fired. He looks towards the shift supervisor who only nods his head. Marshmallow is taken aback. He doesn't know what to say. He slowly gets up and gathers his things. We are almost to the door when he turns to us. Marshmallow,
"I'm not going to take this lying down. I've done nothing wrong. I'm going to HR and get you both fired."
OP, HR was the ones who said to fire you. At this point the best thing for you is to just leave and move on. We got him out of the building and he slowly walked out of sight. We don't know what happened to him after that. The next one starts like this. Okay, so throwaway as I haven't told anyone about this. This happened last year. Harry and I had been together for 3 years. He had 2 kids and as a result we didn't want to rush moving in together. For the 3 months prior, almost every week on the days when Harry had his kids, he would have to work late and ask me to look after his kids for him. I would pick them up from after school care and make them dinner, get them ready for bed, etc. There had also been a few times he had been offered an overnight shift, healthcare, and I had babysat then too and taken them to school the next morning. I was happy to help as he seemed to need the extra cash and had borrowed dollars from me. Anyway, I was dutifully watching a kid's movie when my friend messaged me that she had seen him in a club kissing a woman. I said she must have been mistaken because he was at work, but she sent me some pictures and sure enough, it was him. I was livid but had to keep it inside for the kids' sake. I put them to bed as early as possible and tried to stay calm waiting for him to come back. Then the message came that he had to work overnight. I tried calling him, no answer, and after a few tries straight to voicemail. He had turned his phone off. This was the point where I lost it, but I couldn't leave or vent because of the kids. I'm not proud of what I did. I went slowly through each room, trying to create as much unnoticeable chaos as possible. I removed the most useful screwdriver from his toolbox, broke all the filaments in his spare bulbs and swapped the washing and dishwasher powder for a mixture of flour, sugar and whatever else I could find. I filed one of his professional certificates, required for audits, in a folder he wouldn't look in. I put jam underneath the soles of his hiking boots, started unpicking the buttons on a few of his shirts, and same with the flies on his favorite pairs of pants. I changed his Wi-Fi and router passwords. I guess you get the idea. My final act at 6 AM, just before I had to wake the kids up and act like everything was fine, was to disable the chip in his passport and slightly deface it so it might look like it was forged. I guess the virus has made that redundant. Anyway, I left things a few days and avoided too much contact. Then I messaged him saying I didn't feel I was really invested in the relationship anymore and I was sorry and hoped he had a nice life. He tried calling numerous times. I blocked him everywhere and haven't heard from him since. And the next one is another short story from r/PettyRevenge. It is titled, "Don't want to replace the toilet paper when it's empty? Okay. My spouse, Jack, is a wonderful person. I love him dearly, but he can be a little one-track minded sometimes. We moved a few months ago and due to the bathroom setup, the extra toilet paper rolls have to be a few feet away from the toilet. In our previous house, the toilet was right next to a cabinet, so it was easy to replace the roll. Since moving, Jack often leaves an empty toilet paper roll on the holder and places the new roll on a surface by the toilet. Sometimes he will use the last of a roll and not even get a new one out for the next user. Super inconsiderate, but no one is without faults, right? I brought it up in casual conversation a few times, but he keeps doing it. Okay, so I told Jack the issue and allowed a few times of reminding so that he can form the habit, but he's not even trying. Time to get petty. Jack really prefers that the toilet paper to be up and over rather than under and behind. Of course, now when I replace it after he should have, I purposely do it the way I know he doesn't like. Jack always fixes it the next time he uses it. One day he said,
"You know, the toilet paper is supposed to go up and over."
I told him that I did know he really prefers it that way, and if he replaced it himself then he wouldn't have to worry about it. The look of,
"Wait a minute, hey,"
was wonderful. I will keep doing this until I no longer need to. And guys, sadly, we have already reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest you to check out my Binge Watch Endless playlist on YouTube, which you will now see in the left or right corner of your screen. In addition, if you still cannot get enough and crave more exclusive Ripe content, then please head over to patreon.com/RipeYouTube for more than 50 exclusive Ripe videos that you will find nowhere else. In addition, I would just like to say I am so grateful for your support as usual, but lately we almost always reach 1000 likes, which helps me tremendously. Thank you very much for your amazing support. I hope you have a great day and I will see you again tomorrow.